I used to think strength training was predominantly a vanity move for men called Brad who wanted to look ripped, but I was so wrong. It turns out muscle is one of the most important things protecting your heart and metabolism through perimenopause and midlife. It's not just how your body looks, it's how it functions. And most of us are losing muscle in this exact window faster than we were a few years ago, while the scales stay the same and tell us nothing. So if you've been getting 1,000 steps, eating reasonably, and assuming your heart is sorted, this is probably the piece you are missing. Building and keeping muscle is one of the highest return things you can do for your heart and metabolism in this decade. And by the end of this video, you will understand why, and you will have a realistic way to start that will fit into a life with no spare time. I'm a GP, and before that I trained and operated as an obstetrician and gynaecologist. So I've spent my career working with women, and now I'm also in my 40s with 3 children. So this is not just theory I read about in a journal. I'm living the same transition and working it out alongside you. This is also the second video in a series on heart health in perimenopause, because this is one of the things that is so high leverage, where small moves can make big differences, and I don't see people talking about it. If you want to catch the first video where I talk about the changes that occur in your body composition during perimenopause and why this particular window matters so much for your heart, including the research behind it, I will link it around here somewhere. There is one change that hides in plain sight, and it is muscle. The research that has followed women through the menopause transition, tracking them with body scans over many years, shows that lean mass starts to decline a couple years before the last period, aka the menopause, and continues a few years after. Now, just to be clear, this is not like it just suddenly falls off a cliff. This is more like going from 3rd gear into 4th gear. It's an acceleration of a decline that comes with age anyway, and it's concentrated around this particular window. The part that catches people out is that while this is happening, the scales often stay the same. You can weigh exactly the same and still be trading muscle for fat. A lot of my friends will tell me, I'm fine, my weight is the same, I'm not putting on weight, I'm not losing weight, and they're reassured by that. But it's not necessarily reassuring. So if you look the same, why should you care? Or should you care? I mean, you should, because muscle is working hard for you in the background every single day. When you eat and your blood sugar rises, muscle is the main place that sugar goes. Under the signal of insulin, your skeletal muscle takes up the lion's share, about 70 to 80% of the glucose leaving your bloodstream. More muscle means more parking space for blood sugar. Less muscle means less parking space. Glucose control starts to slip. And this is not just theory, this is just pure physiology. And it connects back to the last video where we talked about how this window changes the way your body handles glucose because of many different components. Muscle is a big part of the why. This means that strength training to build muscle is not just a vanity product. It's actually closer to maintenance on the infrastructure your heart and metabolism depend on. When researchers have put peri- and postmenopausal women through resistance training and measured their cardiometabolic markers, several of them move in the right direction. Insulin sensitivity, fasting glucose, they improve, cholesterol come down, blood pressure gets better, body fat falls, and your bones are stronger too, which, as we know, is a really good bonus because we do not want to fall and be breaking our hip. Now, just to be clear, these are mostly small studies and the effects are modest. And of course, they're going to vary from woman to woman because we are all different individuals. Some things like triglycerides don't really shift at all, but really the direction of most things is consistent. The mechanism makes sense, and although the size of the change of each individual thing is modest, it's the overall effect that is positive. I'm not going to tell you that if you start lifting weights, you will definitely prevent a heart attack, but these are the building blocks of a healthy heart and metabolism, and part of building muscle is stacking the blocks on top of each other, moving the markers in the same direction at once. And that's a good habit to remember. So why does this matter so much in midlife? There is a reason that this is the moment to act, and it's worth understanding rather than just being told, because the major cardiology bodies frame the menopause transition as a window. It's the point where the trajectory of your cardiometabolic risk can steepen, which makes it a sensible time to get ahead of things rather than waiting for the effects to take place and then taking action. There is also a suggestion in the research that women who stay healthy and active through the transition through to menopause hold on to their cardiometabolic health much better than women who start later. This is not something that's proven. I can't say it's proven because there's been no study that takes two groups of women, starts one in perimenopause and one after, and then follows them to see. But what I will say is that the logic around that is sound. And it's not just me saying that, it's big cardiology bodies, and they should hopefully know what they're talking about, I hope. So you intervene before the trajectory steepens, not after. I mean, the simple version of all of this is that the earlier is plausibly better. Starting today costs you nothing and the biology is on your side. And I think that's more than enough reason to begin. Essentially, you're going to be nudging several markers of good heart health in the right direction, plus strengthening your bones, plus building your strength and your ability to carry your shopping bags and get off the floor for the next 40 years. And you'll probably look better too, which is obviously a bonus. Modest changes stacked together, repeated for years, for little time input realistically, I think that's a pretty good return for a busy life. Strength training is not something that you should be replacing your cardio, your 10,000 steps, your aerobic works for, because your heart and lungs still need that. But it's the piece that most women skip. I think because we were told you need to be skinny, don't strength train. It wasn't in the narrative when we were growing up. And so it's not something that is on top of our mind, but it really needs to be. So what is a realistic suggestion for where you should begin? Because honestly, anything that needs an hour or maybe even half an hour and a gym membership is not going to survive contact with my week, and it probably won't with yours if it's as full. Twice a week of strength building, of resistance training is plenty. That's the dose that does most of the work. Use compound movements, exercises that work a lot of muscles at once, like squats, presses, rows, hinging to pick something off the floor. These give you the most return per minute, which is exactly what you need when minutes are scarce. Then add progressive overload, which sounds like gym jargon, but it actually just means doing a little bit more over time. A slightly heavier weight, one extra repetition, one extra set. So you give your muscle reasons to adapt and you keep pushing and building. And then your muscles, they will adapt. Of course, if you have time to go to the gym and you have the means to get a personal trainer and you can do things like lifting heavy, then do it. Do what works for you. That's the whole thing. Just doing what works. 2 short sessions, a handful of big movements, gradually made a bit harder each time. You can do this at home. You can do it in 20 minutes. You can do it in your kitchen if that's what works. I personally I got myself a pull-up bar. Sometimes I will do squats between patients in my clinic. I just do it at home while my children are having the mad half hour, and that's how I fit things in. It's not perfect, it's scrappy, but at the moment, when I don't have the time for, the wellness influencer whole 2-hour daily routine, this is what's going to get me through. And of course, muscle needs material to hold onto, so it's worth saying a quick word about protein. And just a quick word because, the internet is losing its mind about it. You see people talking about 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. It's not really evidence-backed. The official recommendation is 0.8, but that's just a flaw designed to stop you becoming deficient, and it's not optimal, particularly as we age. I would say in midlife, aiming for around 1.2 grams per kilogram spread out through the day because your body doesn't store protein is a sensible amount. That's the honest figure, not an influencer figure. I'll be talking more about nutrition and protein in the next video in this series because you can't out-exercise a poor diet. So if you take one thing from today's video, make it this. Pick 2 days this week and do 3 big compound movements each. Just start small and build there, and your future heart and future self will thank you for it. If you want to go a layer deeper and perhaps prepare a bit more, I've put together a document on the tests worth considering for the female specific things that affect your heart that are often not talked about in the general risk calculators, and also some of the tests that you might want to get from your GP or privately to look into your baseline risk and then build on there so that you can track your improvements. The link is in the description below. So essentially, the most useful thing you can do for your heart in your 40s is not another spin class. It is muscle building, kept and added 2 short sessions a week in the gaps of life, in the gaps where there are no gaps, I guess. But I believe in you and you can do it. I will see you in the next one. Ciao for now.